All right. So now that you understand what all these tools are, GPTs, GEMs, Skills, Copilot, we need to talk about the part nobody really explains. Because this is where most people get stuck. You go in, you build something inside ChatGPT, you set up your instructions, maybe you load a few files, and then it works. So you ask it questions, it gives you good answers, and you're like, okay, this is actually pretty cool. Same thing if you're using Google Gemini or Claude. You create something custom, you test it out, and it feels useful. But then what happens? You stop using it. Not because it's bad, but because it never became something that actually fits into your real workflow. It didn't become something that you rely on. And that's the problem. All of these tools, as good as they are built around one thing: conversation. You ask, it answers. You prompt, it responds. And that's where it stops. It doesn't go out and get real data on its own. Well, sometimes. But you have to have some things connected to do that. It doesn't connect to your systems. It doesn't trigger actions normally. And it really doesn't complete anything from start to finish. It gives you good ideas, gives you the steps, but doesn't really complete the job. So what ends up happening is you're still doing all the work. You're just doing it faster, which is great. It's not that it's not beneficial. It is. But you're copying, pasting, moving information between tools, deciding what happens next, answering questions that it asks you. That's not a system. That's manual work with quicker steps, or maybe extra steps. And this is what I call the execution gap. It's that space between, wow, this is impressive, and wow, this is actually useful. And most people never cross that gap. Let me give you a simple example. Let's say you build a chatbot for lead generation. It can answer questions, talk to people, maybe collect a name and email. Cool. But then what? Does it qualify that lead automatically? Does it store the data somewhere useful? Does it send a follow-up? Does it book a call? Does it notify you? Most of the time, the answers to those are going to be no. So now you've got something that talks, but doesn't actually do anything. It might collect data, but it just sits there. And that's why people stop using it, because it never became part of the real system, how they actually do their job. Now here's the shift, and this is the part you want to pay attention to. AI is not valuable because it talks. It's valuable when it does something. When it can take action, move data, trigger a process, complete a task. That's when it becomes useful. So instead of thinking, how do I build a better chatbot? You should be thinking, how do I build something that actually runs this process for me? That's a completely different mindset. Now you're not just building a tool, you're building a system. And once you start thinking like that, everything changes. Because now you're looking at AI and asking, what can this automate? What can this connect to? What can this handle without me touching it? Different kinds of questions. That's where things start to get interesting. Now, we're not going to go into the full build here because that's where people either get it right or get completely stuck. But I wanted you to see this first. Because if you don't understand this gap, you'll keep building things that look cool, but never actually get used. And I've seen people do that a lot with tools like Lovable and Gamma. So in the next video, I'm going to show you what replaces this. Because once you move beyond chat and into systems that actually take action, you start looking at all of this very differently. Stay tuned for video 3 in this series, where we're going to continue this conversation, or come over and join the Skool community where we talk about this every day. I'll see you in the next one.